Welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Mike. Today we're going to be doing a review on Scout's Honor from Aftershock Comics. It's written by David Pepose and Luca Casalanguida. I really don't know how to pronounce either one. David Pepose. Maybe. I'm sorry if I did mispronounce him, if I got him right. I'm pretty sure it's by blind luck. So, Scout's Honor. Scout's Honor is basically, the synopsis is basically it's set in this futuristic world. It's got really good art. The first issue has this nice, hard kind of backboard to the cover, and these other ones are just paper. I don't know how come this one had such a nice cover. Okay, so the synopsis is basically in the future, nuclear war happens and we all go out into fallout shelters. Eventually it says like 260 something years later we come out of the fallout shelters, and somehow or another certain people get a hold of power and like leadership, and they model like not on government society like our laws and everything, but they kind of go with the Boy Scout motto creed, like help others, do what it takes to survive, that kind of thing. And basically the book, following those principles of being a Boy Scout or whatever is kind of what leads the book. It's a lot like Fallout, if you've ever played that game, like a nuclear, wasteland, and they're in fallout shelters, and when they come out, they're told one thing, and ending up along the path, they find out it's something else, and that's exactly what this is. It's set up where it's like, the scouts are supposed to be this model idea, of someone to kind of like a knight or a policeman, something in that regard. But it basically follows two guys. It's Kit and Dez, and Kit's featured on the cover, and I mean the book's got decent art. I'm not gonna say it's the greatest art I've ever seen. I will say this was one of the first kind of newer indie comics I picked up, and it's kind of the art I expected in an indie comic, and that's not to say that there's not indie comics with good art. I mean, there are, and there have been, I've seen really good examples. It's just this is the art style they went with. I don't know why. It's not the worst. I can say the covers have some of the better art, and inside the issue it's decent. But you do follow these two individuals, Kit and Dez, and Dez is supposed to be like the son of their pack leader, because it's set up like Boy Scouts, like Weeblos and Wolf Scouts, and then eventually the goal is to go into Eagle Scouts. But it just followed those two, and they're trying to become an Eagle Scout in this world. They only take one Eagle Scout a year. And they're both up for trials, and they set it up where they're like they've grown up as friends, and now they're getting to the point where they're having to do the trial together, and that's kind of like the whole synopsis of it. By the end of the first issue, there is a reveal that one of the boys is a girl. It's Kit, the main character. Whoa, spoiler! I'm not gonna go into the end spoilers, but yeah, it's in the first issue. But she's kind of doing the whole like Mulan, pretending to be a guy so she can progress in the ranks. They do set up her backstory where she is like her parents, specifically her dad, was killed. He was an Eagle Scout, and he was killed by this other faction that they develop within the comic. And you find out that if you're not living in these compounds that the scouts are taking care of, because they're kind of like police in these like compounds, but if you don't live inside these compounds, they have like the wasteland outside, and in the wasteland there's mutated beasts. I think in the first issue they run into like a mutated boar, but they just go through, and I'm just gonna flip through and show you some art. But they set up these guys and they show them on the front cover, and it's the Highwaymen, and it's kind of like another group that's living in the wasteland that are giving the scouts problems. They do kind of get it with the Highwaymen later on, because this is a 5-issue run. It's a self-contained story as far as I know it, but the ending does set it up where it seems like they're going to open up the lore and the world of this comic, so it has potential of continuing. I mean, overall, it was okay. You know, I mean, like I said, it wasn't a brand new story for me. I mean, I don't know. There's like, what, 5 Fallout games, so that's not new at all. And the whole girl disguising herself as a guy, that's not new. But I mean, I did kind of the Boy Scout, you know, like a world driven by those kind of. I was a Boy Scout growing up, so I was like, yeah, let's see what it's about. And honestly, the first 2 issues were kind of slow, and I almost gave up on it. And honestly, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th issues kind of redeemed the series, because it kind of goes in this thing where she ends up like fighting these Highwaymen guys, and along the path she ends up like making it to one of the like earlier Eagle Scout compounds or something like that, and because she's quested on a mission. Sorry, I'm looking for a specific page, but she ends up finding some drone, and the drone ends up like, at first it tries to attack her, and eventually she starts realizing, and they do show the drone, and it's right here. They show it all shadowy at first, but it's like a War of the Worlds like circular tentacly thing. They have better pictures of it, but they start showing it more. Right here, they show it. But she finds out some hidden truth from that drone, and from that point on, it's her trying to, you know, is what she was told about the scouts true, or is what the drone is showing her true? And they kind of go into that. They do the whole girl thing in the beginning, and they kind of get away from that until like the last issue, where her and her friend kind of have to talk about things that happened early on. I mean, overall, it was a good read. Now, I would, in my opinion, I think it would be a lot better once if the story continues. I mean, because they do set up kind of a cool lore. Like, there's these, you know, like creatures in the world, and they do show like, at one point, I think in the last issue, and I'll get there, I'll show you. But she rides like that mutated spider that's on the cover, and they show you right here. So they do have some creatures that are mutated from this nuclear wasteland. The Highwaymen, they're just like a group that live in the wasteland, and they're like kind of like raiders or pirates or whatever. And she does end up running into them, and there's this big most of this is, but for me, it was kind of bland, honestly. Yeah, it's an okay read. It's not the best of reads. It's not a horrible story by far. It's an okay story. It kept me going. Is it worth to buy issue to issue? I don't think so. I don't even think it's kind of scout worthy. Not unless they set it up to be bigger than what it is. Because right now, it's. I mean, like I said, it's nothing new. There are some cool stuff. Like I said, she rides that spider thing, and I think that's kind of cool. But I mean, it's such a small part of the story. It's not enough to, like, you know, blast it onto the big screen or. But there is some kind of cool effects. I can say this is the worst part of the story, like that sword that he has. They do go into how, since they're Boy Scouts, they kind of carry these Swiss Army blades, and they're big swords, and they show them off, and they look really cool. And they explain how every scout is destined to get one of those blades or whatever, and she never even gets one, and they never even really. I mean, there's like this little battle with him using it, but they never really like. You know, she never gets hers. Like, they never really go into them. It's such a neat invention, like a Swiss Army knife that was a sword, but actually still works like a Swiss Army knife. Like, it could catch on fire. It had, like, weird pliers. They kind of explained it a little bit in the first issue, and that was it. I kind of wanted more on that, you know? Like, the weapons that they had developed, you know, based on Scout lore type thing. I mean, overall, it was a good read. It wasn't bad. It wasn't horrible. I would pick it up in a trade paperback if you've already bought the issues. Yes, save it for that when you got nothing to read type thing. Overall, I want to say it was like a 3 out of 5. Like I said, it wasn't horrible. The art's decent. The covers are really great. Especially with stories like this, it really could have been hit or miss. I wasn't expecting anything, so honestly, I think it propelled itself a little higher because I wasn't expecting anything. But like I said, it wasn't horrible. The art, it's really hard when you have to review a comic that turns out to be okay or decent or something like that. It's nothing new. The art's okay. The story was decent. The character development, everything like that. I mean, I can say they did a really good job with the actual character writing. That kind of felt a little believable. There was some stuff that they tried to pass over that was, but overall, even for spec-worthy, I would honestly give it my, Evil's pass on this book, unless you just find it on trade paperback. Like me, I ended up getting most of these issues half off. So for me, it was a steal. But I mean, if you're going back looking for this comic now, if they continue it, oh yeah, I mean, I would definitely spec on these, because if they build the world around this, it could be really big. But that's my review. Sorry, I mean, I hope the creators and writers aren't watching this, but it's just my opinion. If y'all end up loving it, tell me what you thought. I know a couple of my friends actually have this comic, and I've been waiting for them to read it to see what they thought. But if you did make it through, even if you didn't, give me a like, subscribe, hit that bell for the notifications, talk to me. I got some more reviews coming, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.